Well, spring is on the way and the walleye run will soon be here. Over the next couple of months, thousands of fishermen will flock to their local tributaries in search of these delicious fish. But there are a couple of components of walleye spawning habits that most people don't really understand. In this video, I'm going to discuss where and when walleye spawn so that you have an easier time locating fish this spring. When spring water surface temperatures reach the low to mid-40s on most bodies of water, the walleye begin arriving at their spawning grounds. As with most fish, the males will begin arriving first, followed by the females when they're ready to go. To understand where to catch them during this time of year, we need to understand what they look for in spawning habitat and how they behave once they get there. Ideal spawning habitat for walleye includes areas with a gravelly bottom and relatively shallow water, where there's enough movement of the water to keep sediment out. In rivers, this is fairly easy to find. Just look for swift currents in relatively shallow water and you are in business. On inland lakes, walleye again look for shallower, gravel-bottomed areas. Wind-swept shoals off of sharp points are a good place to look, as the wind-wave action at these locations tend to carry away the sediment, leaving the bottom gravel exposed. So now that we've found where the spawning habitat is located, it's time to start fishing there, right? Well, not necessarily. And here's where one of the key misunderstandings comes into play. So here it is. A key fact that many people don't understand about walleye spawning is that the actual spawning ritual tends to happen at night. There's a great video by Angling Buzz that show these fish moving in right after dark. And I'll put a link in the description to that video. This means that a lot of the fish that you'll find catchable during the day are located in nearby staging areas and not necessarily on the spawning gravel itself. So where can we find these fish during the day? Well, remember that walleye are a low light fish, and thus water clarity will have a lot to do with when and where you find them. In smaller tributaries, there won't be much of a choice for some of these fish. But in large rivers such as the Detroit, St. Clair, and Maumee rivers, the fish have lots of choices. In the Detroit River, which arguably holds the largest walleye run in the world, the fish will often be found in shallow waters up to 10 feet deep in the early morning and late evening hours. These fish tend to move deeper as the sun comes up. This is especially true if the water is very clear. In fact, water clarity has a lot to do with where you'll find fish. When the water is very clear, many anglers will start shallow early in the morning and then move much deeper as the sun comes up. In contrast, when the water is very turbid or cloudy, the fish may be found in relatively shallow water all day long. It's also important to understand that not all parts of a large river system have the same water clarity at the same time. These systems tend to drain water from a very large geographic area, and depending on recent local precipitation events, parts of the river system can be very clear, while other parts can be very cloudy. This means that in one part of the river you might find fish in 6 feet of water, while in others you may find them as deep as 30 feet or more. This means that generally speaking, fishermen will have more luck on days that are cloudy with turbid water because the fish tend to hold in the same location all day long and won't move as much. In contrast, on days when it's bright and sunny and the water is very clear, the fish will move quite a bit from the early morning hours when they are leaving the spawning area and back out into a staging area where they are comfortable. In summary, walleye begin staging when water temps reach the low to mid-40s. Walleye spawn in shallow water with gravelly bottoms and mainly at night. Finding walleye means adjusting location based on daytime water conditions near these spawning grounds. If you put these tips to use this spring, we'd love to hear how you did. Feel free to drop a comment and let us know.